Welcome, everyone, to A Mexican and a Redneck Father the World. We are your hosts and surrogate fathers, Juan and Ben. Today we'll be discussing budgeting your time. Juan, I'll sleep for about 8 hours. I've got a 24-hour day. What do I do with the other 16?
I don't know, man. All I thought was, must be nice to be able to sleep 8 hours. No, that's good. So we're so budgeting your time. Yeah. On the average, if you're lucky and you don't have little children to wake you up in the middle of the night, which I guess yours are they're actually sleeping. Yeah.
All through the night. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's a glorious on the other side of the hill.
We got one more coming, and then after that we're done, and then we'll experience that, hopefully.
In about 3 years.
So budgeting your time. I think this is very important as far as like, because, I wanted to talk about this subject just because time is so limited or you never get it back. Once it's gone, it's gone. I don't know how to say that.
That's good.
How do you, what's a big word that you use to make it like, oh, it sounds so academic?
Limited's a good one.
Limited.
You said that one.
Okay. There you go, guys. Time is limited, so make sure you budget it.
No.
End of the podcast.
I get what you're saying. It is. Every successful person, whether it be in some major industry or celebrity or motivational speaker, they'll all tell you your time is the most valuable thing you've got. And an old person would say the same thing, and it seems to be this reoccurring trend throughout life, regardless of where you are, is time's the only thing. Or time is one of the most valuable things that you have.
Yeah. And it's funny, like that cliche. I don't know if your dad ever told you this, like as far as like, oh, the older you get, the faster time goes by, and like you made the comment a couple of podcasts ago, like the days are long, but the years are short. And like having kids now and getting older, I'm not older. I'm still mid-30s, solid mid-30s, prime of my life,
young buck.
But it's like you start noticing things. My family, I'm the oldest of 6, so my youngest brother, he's 19. He's young guy, and I think back, man, if I had known to better budget my time at 19, how better off would I be right now in my 30s?
That's an old person thought,
right?
Because you're valuing time now.
You're valuing, and it's like you see the cost of time of like, oh man, it's like, sitting in the toilet for 35 minutes until your legs go numb is no longer a luxury you typically have. You usually have about 5 minutes if you're lucky before the kids start banging in there and be like, dada.
Uh-huh.
So, so that's a real thing. So it's, and it's like just the ability to waste time, it just becomes very, very limited, but yet we still do it.
Oh yeah.
So it's just a thought of, as far as like, this is not, and I guess this podcast is not necessarily designed to be like, oh, this is how you budget your time. You wake up at 4:30 in the morning, you eat a protein shake, you do push-up, it's like, no, because we were talking about this before the podcast, like all these motivational speakers that like kind of preach that as far as like getting up early, they didn't start there. They started, they were at the one point, the guy that was waking up at 8, 9 o'clock, noon for some people out there. So I'm kind of like at the point to where like, okay, how do we budget our time? How do you make budgeting your time enjoyable? How do you put it to where it actually brings joy to your life and it's not another thing to do?
Oh yeah.
That's I think, because that's a big thing. There's so many podcasts out there. There's so many books out there that you can go out and buy and listen to, as far as like, they're going to tell you what to do. So I guess this podcast, we want to make it more a little bit of a critical thinking skill podcast. Sure. As far as like, why are you doing it? Why do you even want to budget your time?
And for every subject.
Yeah.
Why are you doing anything you're doing?
Yeah.
And there's good reasons, of course, for some things, but other things, it's just, you kind of go, I don't know. Why am I doing this thing? What does it actually give me?
Yeah. And because it's funny, because like as we're developing this podcast, I feel like that's going to be kind of like our underlying theme is why? Mm-hmm. Why are we doing this? Why do you want to be a good dad? Why do you want to be a good husband? Why do you want to budget your time? Why do you want to make more money? Why? that annoying question that your little kids ask you about 3 to 4, and it doesn't stop until about 5.
I love it. I love the dialogue.
Yeah.
I love it. It's great.
My oldest daughter, she's getting into a phase where she knows everything. She's a little, she's very, very intelligent, but she's like, actually, I'm like, you're 5. You actually don't know everything yet.
Oh yeah. I know with budgeting time, one thing, it's if I'm Mr. So-and-so starting out and I'm like, how do I budget my time? How do I value it the way a successful person or an old person does? It's like, well, starts with gratitude.
Yeah.
Are you thankful for the time you have? You wake up and you do whatever it is you do, and it's like, do those things you do throughout the day actually contribute to where you want to be in 5 years?
Mm-hmm.
And there's this thing where we're trying not to be the wake up early, read all the books, work really hard, go to sleep early. It's like, that's good. Some people might need that. That might be what you need. It might be your thing. But for some of us, I don't want to wake up at 4:30, every morning. And maybe I will eventually. I don't know. But
yeah, there's more personalities out there though than just an A-type personality, which I am not an A-type personality at all.
I don't know what I am. I need to take tests or something.
Yeah, you need to take a test.
but there's a thing where it's like, well, I really love, like, my time is my most valuable thing. I do the time thing. Time spent. That's the word I'm looking for. Like,
there
time spent's my love language. I figured it out. That's the word. And so my love language is just spending time. So if I'm spending time with someone, I care about them. If I'm spending time doing something, it's important to me. And I've really got a gratitude for the time I have and the time I've spent. It's like, man, I really valued that time with that person. And I've learned, okay, certain type of people are going to interfere with my time in ways I don't like. And they're going to make decisions I don't agree with. So I need to stay away from that type of person, And gratitude, I think, is a huge element of budgeting your time.
Yeah. I think as far as the way budgeting your time, you don't necessarily want to start off with the things that you have to do, because that can become a very big stressor on your life. I find myself that when I'm doing things based on what I have to do, it stresses me out. Because then it's like you start building this list, and it's almost, in a way, it becomes this judgmental list of all the things where you're failing or you're falling short or you're like not succeeding.
Oh, or you get angry because it's like, I'm doing this for you and you aren't appreciating me the way I'm appreciating you. And that other person is like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah. But then when you focus on budgeting your time based on the things you enjoy doing, like, for instance, I enjoy doing this podcast. I want to figure out, how can we budget more time to do this podcast?
Oh, yeah.
I enjoy spending time with my kids. How can I budget time to spend more time with my kids?
Oh, yeah.
So I think that's very, very important as far as having that healthy outlook, as far as like creating this habit of budgeting your time, but turning it into a healthy habit, not a judgmental or condemning task that you're like, oh, she's gonna show me how little I read or how little I done, how little I worked out. But look at, like, okay, this is what I've done. These are the things that I enjoy doing. Because when I look back at my week, there's a lot of things where I've wasted a lot of time, and I'm like, I gotta get better. But then when I look at the times where, like, oh man, this was really, really fun. How do I get that? How do I get more of that? And then that motivates me to be like, okay, I gotta get these tasks done so I can have more of this here. And then that's, you got to find, budgeting your time is a lot of like, there's a lot of element of understanding your personality type. So you definitely need to take that personality test so you understand how you work best. I don't need no one to tell me who I am. No, you don't need no one. You need a piece of paper that has 4 letters and say, you're this letter. Identify, put you in that block.
Don't put me in no blocks. Can't cage me.
You're free as a bird, huh?
Free.
Well, there goes that podcast.
It just went downhill. No, I like that, because it's really important to say this is where I am. And I when I was got out of college, I was interviewing people, and I was like, how do I get a job? Successful people who are at the top of their game. and they give me 30 minutes here, 15 minutes there, an hour. And they would just say, don't ever look at any experience as a waste of time.
Yeah.
You have experiences. You've just got to figure out what were the principles of the job you were doing. And this is for job interviewing, of course, but this can relate to anything. But what were you doing at your McDonald's job or your retail job that can convey to a warehouse job that pays more and is more benefits and better? And it's like, well, okay. So I was like, well, I dealt with inventory. They're like, right. Think about it that way. Hamburgers are just hamburgers to the people making them and buying them. But if you really start thinking about it, no, hamburgers are inventory.
Mm-hmm.
T-shirts are inventory. And as you go through and, sell those T-shirts or whatever, stocking, and then you get into inventory management, you're like, oh, wait a second, I do have skills.
Yeah, yeah.
And so you're no longer that 22-year-old who's had the retail job fresh out of college trying to get that good job. You're like, wait a second, I have lots of experience in organization and inventory management. Oh, okay. Now I'm realizing my worth and what I'm capable of.
Yeah.
And that's where you get into that mindset and pattern, like, oh, okay, well, how do I do that now in relationships with spouses or boyfriend, girlfriend, or family members or friends or whoever? You start going, okay, well, let's think about the time I was doing good stuff in that relationship.
Oh, yeah.
And how do I move forward in my life and not do the bad stuff that I did also?
That's funny. You put it in that perspective as far as that, like even like looking, sometimes you kind of look at your first job or, whether if it was, retail or if it was fast food, and you think like, oh, this is this is not really giving me a good skill set. But the same skills that requires you to run a successful fast food restaurant or a retail shop or whatever it is the same skills that you need to run a successful Fortune 500 company. So that's a great way of looking at it as far as like you're developing the skills at every single point of your life.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no such thing as wasted time. All time is spent. You just don't waste time. But I guess the only time that you really waste time would be if you don't actually take the time to evaluate the time that you spent in a certain thing. Well, there's a lot of time in there.
Don't do that again. I don't know what you just said.
that would be, I guess
too much.
Yeah, I guess the point of the thing was the
something
wasted
involving
time.
That's just a colloquialism,
yeah,
right? It's just a phrase.
Yeah. So the truly wasted time is the time that you don't spend analyzing your habits or your things that you're doing.
I don't know. I mean, I know we use wasting time as just a passing phrase, but it's not real. Nobody actually wastes time.
Right.
You spend time. It's just, are you spending 5 hours on social media? When you should be spending 5 hours studying or working on something? Are you spending 5 hours watching TV? Because that's, if it doesn't seem like we waste a lot of time, but I started evaluating how much time am I watching TV?
Yeah.
How much time am I doing, just looking at stuff on the internet, whatever it may be. And then it's, I spend a lot more time than I realized doing those things.
Yeah.
And then that made me start going, oh, okay, well, if I want to read more books, I got to stop watching so much TV and say at 2 hours or whatever, no more TV or 15 minutes or however long.
Yeah. Cause it's funny, like, one of the things that we've kind of talked a little bit about in the past as far as like, this spending time to escape from your reality, or are you spending time to improve your reality? Like YouTube watching. YouTube is a great resource. It can either be a great resource for developing certain skill sets and improving your reality, or you can use it for a complete, disconnect from your reality because you want to escape from your reality.
Sure.
Because you've taken your time and you're like, oh, I don't want to actually build on this. I'm just going to escape into somebody else's life who's doing something with their life, not necessarily improve my life. So that's a great point that you make as far as like nobody wastes time. The time is going to get spent regardless of what you do.
Yeah, it's a truth. It's just one of those true statements you can't get around.
Mm-hmm. You got anything else about time?
I mean, just try and spend it wisely, and if you want to waste it, cool.
And if you want to see time fly, just throw a clock out the window.
Oh,
Yeah, dad jokes.
that was gross. don't do that again either. We should retitle this episode 1. Don't do that again.
Don't waste your time like that, Juan. Yeah. With that being said, guys, we want to thank you for listening to A Mexican and a Redneck Follow the World. We are your hosts, Juan and Ben. We love you, and we're proud of you.
We are proud of you.